You know, they're essentially they're sort of like cornerstone pillars of the time stream, right? So if you start, you know, taking out this undergirding, you know, it doesn't want to be taken out basically. And even some things have to be changed a little bit at a time. You can't just go in and make this one change. You have to like sort of build up to it if it's slightly bigger. So, you know, you have to go back several times. You know, each time getting closer to the right time to make sort of changes that lead up to it.
And I figured out the gang during the time period that did the drive-by.
Oh, cool.
Satan Souls.
Awesome.
Out of New York during that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I figured the Hell New York City cop, ex-cop. You know, where he's working more. I know where I found him. It was PI. I wasn't finding much I liked. There was a couple possibles to work with, and then I said, well, damn, private investigators. And that's where he showed up on Google, and I think it was Pinterest.
Yeah, I found the movie, by the way. It's Inherent Vice.
That goes with his flaws. or his flaw, and I don't know game mechanic flaw that I did that. It goes kind of with that. I gave him the game mechanic flaws impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
As far as gave him the agile talent, because what I was doing was out of the pre-mades that were there, kind of juggling between the detective and the soldier. To blend some of the things together to go ahead and make fit them into what I was thinking.
So I had an idea. What the hell is it? God damn it! I have so many things opening and closing. What was it? So, not the archetype, but yeah, like the other part. What the hell is it called?
You mean the concept?
Yeah.
Or
what the motivation or position?
I think it's position.
I was waiting to see.
Yeah, we're gonna figure that out. We're gonna figure that out.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Because a lot it's based on your character.
Okay.
You know, it's sort of, you know, what your position is within, you know, as a Timeworks agent. You know, what is your specialty, that kind of thing.
Right.
Like with you, one of you should ideally be, you know, have the skill to be a breaker, and
a breaker.
Yeah, and I will explain.
Okay.
When you make changes to the timeline, it creates a kind of stress. It creates a stress, and so breakers are able to it's like they seem to have an innate ability to perceive time, you know, changes in the time stream. And so a person who's a breaker has trained themselves mentally to basically handle that stress, so that they basically can absorb the timeline stress.
That actually kind of ties into the brief concept that I had was sort of a drifter who has, because I saw the temporal specialist.
Yep.
And that really kind of intrigued me, and I was kind of curious, like somehow a drifter became very knowledgeable about time mechanics and then was recruited by them, or maybe he had some other skill. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, and but see, the first thing that we can do is sort of imagine a one of the most significant things that happened to your character prior to their recruitment. And like I said, you can keep it kind of general at first. Think about, did they lose someone in their life? Were they in a particularly brutal, conflict? Were they in a coma for a year? Whatever it was, some sort of significant event that affected them up until that point. Because that ultimately has an effect later on.
Okay.
One thing you should also be sort of beginning to think about is each time agent, they have to have an anchor, and all an anchor is, it's an object of significance to you from your time period, and it basically keeps you anchored to your own personal time.
Sweet. I got that already. Hey.
And ideally, it should be something, tangible, and something that you can easily, kind of carry with you, like in a pocket kind of thing, pocket size. You're not going to be lugging a jukebox around in your back with your.
No. What Jack is going to have? Jack is going to go ahead and have a bracelet that his daughter made for him that says "Love you, Dad" on it, that he wears all the time. She gave it to him before she got wasted.
That's awesome, yeah.
The drive-by happened in 1977.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Well, I'm going to have to write some of this stuff down.
That would be good, because I'm not going to memorize it right now.
I'll record local off my ex-cool. And then I'll put it up for us as archive. This way we can work free flow. And then go back and capture what we need to capture.
Right. Excellent. But yeah, someone who is a breaker, basically, they sort of become, they sort of hold the timeline in place while it changes, because again, the timeline is strongly influenced by observers. And someone who has their training is able to hold that basically hold the observation of the new timeline in place, until it's finished. When you guys go on, when agents go on a mission, the entire facility, they basically turn on the temporal sort of Faraday cage, which I described, and when the agents return, they're able to check their protected archives against what they observe in the world now, and if things went as planned, they can see the changes, and then they basically lock it in place by dropping the protective field, so that the agents now become part of the timeline again. If they don't, then the agents can go back and try to fix it again if something went wrong, and they're still able to do that. But once like I said, once they drop that Faraday cage, it's locked in place for good. You cannot travel into the future.
Why not? Why not?
They don't know. They tried it a number of times, but no one was ever seen again. So they have stopped experimenting with that for a while.
Okay.
So they're not exactly sure what it is about the apparatus that prevents that, but they have they've tried to do that, in fact, and they lost quite a few agents trying to do that.
Yeah, I meant to read like all of the stuff. I just was.
Oh, that's right.
Work,
I came. Like I mentioned, it was a lot.
I went at some point we'll read it all, but like I came home and like I had to fix my Star Wars character for tomorrow.
Oh, no problem.
Because I was told, oh, you guys only have starting equipment credit, as well as you can only use stuff from the Edge of the Empire core book. It's like, oh, well, that limits my options.
so baby, so you got to do is clean up Baby Yoda.
Well, actually, so
no Baby Yoda.
Running it, we're playing the mission to go get Baby Yoda. So, yeah.
I was only being funny. was.
Yeah. It's ironic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so that was I spent all my time trying to figure out how to get more friggin' money so I could get better equipment. So I got it.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Now, one of the pages that they give you from the manual is the myth of the butterfly effect, and many Timeworks operatives express a deep fear of displacement before engaging their first alteration, claiming they're frightened of the potential side effects that displacement can bring about in the timeline. Partially, this is the result of poor media we embedded throughout history to discourage time travel, such as Mr. Ray Bradbury's infamous work, A Sound of Thunder, in which a misplaced footstep in the Cretaceous can lead to disastrous effects in the present. The truth is that the greatest difficulty we discovered when traveling through time is that our actions will not matter. Rarely do we find unintended consequences. The time stream or space-time continuum is robust and easily shakes off the death of a single butterfly or the application of an additional sniper on a grassy knoll. Our operatives are not forced to undertake drastic measures to successfully alter the time stream. Our operatives are often forced to undertake drastic measures, to successfully alter the time stream. Accidental time stream manipulation is rare, and the effects are usually localized and contained.
I saw the movie Sound of Thunder, and I don't know how accurate it is to the book.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I know the book. I didn't see the movie, so I don't know.
Well, in the movie, like they go back in time, and he steps off this like predetermined path, kills a butterfly,
right?
And that causes a whole bunch of issues. Except that in the movie, there was a volcano that's due to go off, like as soon as they leave.
Yeah.
Which means that butterfly was already fucking dead. Which means you could trounce all you wanted through there, and it wouldn't have impacted anything.
Yeah, I don't remember this volcano. Yeah, I know. It's I think it's a little absurd.
Except bring back on the face of your boot, bring back the fresh DNA from it, and you have Jurassic World.
Sure,
right.
That part, I get. That totally makes sense. But the idea of you killing a butterfly, okay, fine. But that butterfly was already going to die. It's in an environment that's about to just be covered in volcanic ash.
Right.
Yes, but you stomped it and put it in the ground. So now there's a fossil saying on a time period that it's that. And where before the volcano just went poof. Now there's a record set in stone as a fossil.
Only your footprint, though? Because the butterfly came back on his boot.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say I haven't read the book or seen the movie, but I'm just going with free thought here that it pushed down that made a fossil. So now they have a time period where they can say, yes, there were butterflies, and they were big as horses.
Oh,
at this time,
it's a terrible movie. I would not recommend it.
Oh yeah.
The only reason I got it is because I saw Sir Ben Kingsley on it, and I was it's Sir Ben Kingsley.
I'm with you. I like there's certain actors that bar none. If I see them in the movie credits of they're playing it, I will at least give it one watch.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman's that way. Nicolas Cage is that way for me. Ben Kingsley's that way. Kurt Russell. There's some others that I like. I'd say 90% of what they do, and even if the movie script is shit, their acting at least makes me feel it's worth my time because they really do delve into their parts fairly good.
Yeah. Well, Ben Kingsley could not save this one. He tried. It was even his part. I cringed a lot because it was a bad script.
Oh yeah.
It was just a really bad script. I don't know if it was a bad adaptation or if it's just one of those stories that really don't translate well to film.
There are some that don't age well.
But anyways.
Yeah.
Not to go on. You just said butterfly effect and that story.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that in this scenario, it's bullshit, so you don't need to worry about it. It's not a thing.
All right.
Yeah, now basically when you go through time, you have to be de-aligned, which means you are disconnected from the time. The displacement equipment disconnects you from your time stream, and what that means is that you could go back in time and interact with yourself without a paradox. When you come back and then take down the Faraday cage, it will make changes in your past, but that could hypothetically cause a great deal of stress in the timeline, depending on what you do. Like if you interacted with yourself as a baby, probably not a lot of stress unless you physically did something to yourself. Whereas, if you happen to be in your house as a child, when you're a child, interacting with like a grandparent or something like that, keep them alive or something, that would be a lot less stressful.
Right.
But basically,
went back, married Marilyn Monroe or Joe DiMaggio.
Nope. She's too significant.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a lot of eyeballs. I thought about doing a Bill and Ted-esque character, but I feel like the problem with that is like, why the hell would they recruit that guy?
Right. They would. Well, I mean, I guess they could find out that this person was just really a really gifted breaker. Like they just have this innate ability to sit time. In which case they might overlook their other quirks.
General ineptitude.
Right, because it turns out they are extraordinarily useful. But one of the examples I saw was like let's say you wanted to you couldn't say go back in time and become the owner of Microsoft, right? But you could say go back in time and ensure that that the success of Microsoft could enrich you in ways that perhaps in other words, it wouldn't eliminate Bill Gates, but
become a silent partner with backing.
Right.
Type of thing.
Yeah. So again, that's where it gets tricky. You have to fight. You have to kind of look for loopholes in time, basically, depending on what you're being sent to do. One of the things that let me call that up for a second. Timeworks here. Yeah, like basically, if you hadn't read the agenda of Timeworks, almost as mysterious as the origins of the time displacement equipment in the. Sorry, let me start over. Almost as mysterious as the origins of the time displacement equipment is the agenda of Timeworks and her executives. Starting in late 2000, the Timeworks facility went into a full operation, secretly offering their time travel services to those who could pay. Through though the acquisition of clients and how much they are charged is not known. Most employees assume Timeworks charges a significant amount, but some question whether wealth is their true purpose. After all, the success of the software company alone has made Templeton one of the richest men on the planet. And of course, he could certainly make easy money going back in time and manipulating the stock market for even greater gains, all without the risk of exposure. On top of that, there have been a number of clients who are clearly not wealthy, while others seem to be taken on in the interest of peer research. There are a few obvious cases where displacement equipment was used to prevent global catastrophes, like the Red Rage pandemic of 2010 and the Russian asteroid impact of 2013. But there are other significant events the Timeworks refused to touch, like the 9/11 attacks in 2001. Needless to say, the moral compass of the company is quite difficult to gauge. One of the interesting side effects of the services provided by Timeworks is that none of the clients ever remember hiring Timeworks, or that the organization even exists. It's nearly a perfect system of concealment. So that's one of the features of this, of how things begin, is the agents. A lot of the stuff with Timeworks is on a need to know basis, and so your run-of-the-mill agent doesn't know a lot about what's going on in the higher echelons of the Timeworks company. I told you that I don't know if you had a chance to read through it, but Timeworks, basically, when they first started, they developed a software company as cover, and they created a Timeworks video game, which ended up eventually developing into an MMORPG, which became very popular. And the purpose of this was twofold: one, to give them a cover, but also to provide an amazing level of plausible deniability. If a regular person overhears someone talking about time travel and Timeworks, they go, "Oh, look, it's a video game. Never mind." It's great cover for an actual thing going on. As it turns out, the software company really took off and did quite well, but the time displacement aspect of it still operates. Headquarters is in Western Massachusetts. I put a thing about that. What else? The time travel experience. That's fun. It's been described by agents as the sensation of being set on fire and having it put out with a nail gun.
Which is
so.
I don't know if I said this in the Aether game, but that's how I describe, not exactly how I describe time travel in my Aether system, where time traveling is painful. And that's kind of that's the universe's way of dissuading people from messing with it. Like, don't travel through time.
Well, in this one, it's part of the sort of the decoupling process that sort of separates you from the time stream.
But I just found it funny that it's effectively two different, like my head and as well as this game both said, "Hey, time traveling should be painful."
And Jack's reply to that is, it's not painful. You want to feel real pain? Feel my pain. My tortures.
Heavy song.
My tortures.
As a strong whiff of whiskey swishes across.
But it's also one of those pains that after a little bit of time, agents tend to forget about until the next time.
I know that sensation.
Yeah,
that's why I have two tattoos.
Exactly. Why did I do this again? Shit. Yeah.
First one, God, this hurts like hell. Second time around, why did I not get this done sooner? Oh, that's why.
Right. Exactly. But we'll get into more details as we go. Like I said, I gave you a whole bunch of stuff you guys can look at between now and the first session. But okay, so now that you have a basic idea, we'll get to the character creation stuff. So your thing of Drifter.
Yeah.
And you want his you think having his sort of the reason that he would be recruited would be just sort of this innate understanding of or this innate sense of time.
Yeah, I think so. I think that could be interesting. So I was trying to think of like a little bit of backstory, how that can all tie in. So like the Drifter, I was reading it. It's basically something happened. They don't fit in society.
Mm-hmm. Well, and of course, keep in mind you're not married to just what's there either. Like, you know,
Right.
if you come up with your own concept, that's fine too. That's the beautiful thing about Ubiquity is like you're not stuck with, just what you see in the archetypes.
Right. But I was thinking something along the lines of like maybe he was some sort of like celebrated mind when it comes to time for some reason.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
And then maybe he came out with an idea that was just way too radical for the public, and that pushed him out of the spotlight.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Obscurity. And so I guess you could kind of say he goes from what is the celebrity. So like he started out as kind of the celebrity, and then got pushed into Drifter because like he made like some sort of discovery on his own about time. Whether or not it's directly related to being able to travel through time or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's like,
let's say he wasn't a celebrity though, because if again they would stay away from that. But he could have been a scientist who was, on the cusp of becoming well known when he made this what was perceived as an insane discovery. And
I would love for it to the thing he discovers is like one of the rudimentary things that Timeworks has. So like for them, it's not a huge discovery, but this guy figured it out by himself without our help.
Right. And that could be kind of cool too, because he maybe he started like I'm thinking I was looking to kind of the conspiracy theorist thing, but this is specific to time travelers. It's like I know there are time travelers all over the place, and he sort of began looking for signs of time travel.
Oh yeah, and that's why he became a drifter, as he's literally looking for time travelers, like for signs.
A John Carpenter type.
Right.
And then like how like validated would he feel when he finally gets recruited? I was right, but you can't tell anyone.
Oh god damn it! But I get how much money? Nice.
Right. It's worth it.
Cool. Now we can pick a time period. We could do something kind of if it was radical at the time, like nowadays I could see someone like that, like they'd be more likely to get a YouTube channel and a blog or something like that rather than be a drifter. So I'm thinking, older time period, like
I was thinking 90s, like early 90s.
Okay.
Just because it was before the internet.
Right.
So like you don't have to worry about like, the idea that he what's the word? He doesn't. There was no concern of him like starting a YouTube channel or any shit like that.
Right.
But there's enough technology around to where like tracking these time bubbles or whatever to be able to track time travelers, is available.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's about a good time. It's either that or it's like early internet, but that's such a small window.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, they were working with, quantum theory was developed in the 1920s, right?
Right.
And he could have easily, devised it from that. So really, any time between, say, the 1930s and the 90s would work. So you could have, it could be more along the lines of like, like early Tony Stark era, or not Tony Stark, Howard Stark era, like in the 1940s or something like that. So I mean, you could even go back that far, and have something maybe a little bit more advanced than the average person would have that you came up with yourself because you were just really smart about it. That means if your character, whichever era you put him in, would definitely have to be smart. If he's a theoretical physicist kind of thing, he would have to be pretty bright. So you'd want to definitely go with that. Have a definitely put some points into science. Theoretical physics. Things like that.
I could always go for the atomic age, so like 50s.
50s? That'd be kind of cool too, yeah.
I think that would work there too.
Mm-hmm. Jack was born August 11th, 1952.
And
perfect.
That would actually even fit better because back then it was a lot easier for somebody to disappear.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and also a scientist wasn't as likely to become a household name,
Yeah.
Like people knew Einstein and that was basically Einstein and maybe was it Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Oppenheimer. So
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. Yeah. So I mean, they were household names in a way, but not like today where you have all these theoretical physicists who are almost cultural icons.
I just had his name. God damn it. The Asian guy with the white hair.
Kaku, yeah. Michio Kaku.
Yep.
Now he's a great model actually for you in a way, but because when he was like what was he was it was like in high school or something like that, ridiculous. He basically built a nuclear accelerator in his basement or his garage.
It was
to create antimatter. Like
nice.
he's like he's the kind of person like you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, well, there really are people like that.
It's always a trip.
Yeah.
There's a type of nuclear reactor you can literally build in your garden shed.
Oh, is that it's like an atomic pile basically? It's just
it's called like a burner reactor or something like that.
Breeder reactor?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, breeder reactor, yeah.
I listened to...
Yeah, so if you want to go, I mean, we don't want to go like full weird science, but you could definitely have him come up with a few neat little ideas. Now these are all pre-Timeworks, obviously.
Right.
So he would have the ability to be a breaker. He would definitely have a background in sort of this new temporal mechanics, which he gets recruited for. Now we just had to hammer out some details as far as like I said, 1950s is a good time period. You can kind of narrow that down a bit if you want. So now that we know that much about him, well, I guess probably the most significant thing in his life would have either had to have been his either whatever sort of breakthrough he had, whatever discovery he had, or when he was sort of what's what I'm looking for, sort of disowned by the scientific community, something like that maybe, or it could be a personal thing. It could be his his direction maybe cause something else to happen that
I feel like it should be like a combination of the two. So I feel like he had made the discovery. It's similar how quantum mechanics, quantum theoretical physicists or whatever discovered that you can affect an outcome merely by observing it.
Yep.
And he kind of piggybacked off that and realized that by observing it, you're solidifying its state and time.
Right.
And then, he kind of like snowballed from there and then came up with the concept of, time travelers. He found like maybe vague evidence but convincing enough for him.
Sure.
But he realized that nobody's going to believe him without hard evidence.
Right.
And so he basically dropped off the, scientific community face and started searching to find this evidence. So that way he'd come back and be like, I have proof.
Exactly. Yeah.
He knew he would be disgraced, and instead of being disgraced, he felt, I'm going to find this evidence first and then come back with it.
Yeah, I mean, and that might have even involved him, like, his wife didn't understand, so she left him or something, or there could be all kinds of other repercussions as well, which you can kind of think of.
He had friends, family, and he just took off one day.
Yeah,
and he was always lauded as being like super passionate about his projects, and so this one grabbed him quickly. And so he just kind of
okay. So it would be his discovery of the nature of time travel, and his his obsession with sorting out what it's about. Nice. Now your character, Charles, he's you said he was a New York police officer, right? And this he was in the 1970s.
He was on early SWAT team.
Okay.
Not as a leader, but as like a patrol leader.
Yeah.
Team leader, not the branch division. So
right.
And so he doesn't have real powerful investigative skills from the cop side, but more the tactical streetwise. Onto that. He was born August 11th, 1952. His daughter was born May 5th, 1972, and gunned down by Satan's Souls in New York City on August 11th, 1977. After giving him his birthday present bracelet.
Nice. Awesome. Now, what happened to him after that? Like, what were the immediate effects of
the immediate?
Was he still a police officer when that happened?
Yes.
Okay.
He blamed himself. Mm-hmm. Innately, he's blaming himself for it because not knowing whether or not it was actually purposed shooting towards him, or if it was random. But he has borne that guilt on himself, and then he has gotten OCD'd with trying to bring the gunman or that gang down, and with it he sunk deeper into more of the drag because he was spending too much time away from his job on his off hours that he was getting sloppy, kicked off the SWAT team. Then after that,
they kicked off the force,
And after that, got his job, couldn't handle that. Started drinking heavy, trying to numb that, and became like a freelance bounty hunter, PI that would pick up all the dirty dregs jobs of that were out there. Was noted to have some ability into certain aspects of that, and with his mind numbed by his whiskey and women, because his marriage fell apart in all this too.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And that he picks up whatever he can to keep himself kind of going. He has his favorite place, his favorite bar down off of 42nd Street by Grand Central, called Clancy's. They know him well there. and he spends, and that's where whoever's looking for him usually comes by and makes contact with him on picking up one of these jobs, spying, collecting information on a cheating spouse, to going ahead and seeing if one of the local mafia numbers runners is actually cheating, and they don't want to use their force to get the information. He's just a low-level gutter snipe flea type right now at his point we're going in Timeworks.
Nice. All right, awesome. Those are two excellent backgrounds, two great origin stories. The next step I want to do is I want you guys to come up with what was how were you recruited? Like, what try to imagine the scenario where a Timeworks agent showed up and what was the situation. We can start with either of you. If one of you has something, if not, I'll just pick one of you and we'll march forward.
Thank you. Jack was on a job spying on this wealthy software moguls, trophy wife. He feared that she was cheating on him. He's like 77 years old, grungy old man, but mega bucks, and all worried about his little piece of trophy meat, having somebody else have their little dick beaters on it. And so Jack was taking pictures and getting the information, and then some thugs jumped them.
Mm-hmm.
Not beat him within an inch of his life. The only thing that kept him breathing was the amount of it. He was embalmed with his whiskey and the idea of his daughter,
mm-hmm.
and focusing on that bracelet and such. And as he's coming back out of it, that he still had his camera and stuff because he gripped onto that life. Couldn't get that away before some good citizens came by and chased him off.
Well, how about this? What if it was what if it was one good citizen? Like, what if
that's fine.
You were actually slated to be beaten to death that night. Like, you weren't going to make it, and this. All of a sudden, these headlights sort of spilled on you as the thugs were, having their way with you, and they took off, and you were pulled into this car by this gentleman who called you by name. It's like, do you need to get to a hospital, Jack? And he kind of
just some dickle.
You
or four feathers, whatever you got. Stout.
Tell you what, let's get you some rest first. And he ends up taking you to a motel to sort of detox you a bit, so he can talk to you, and maybe he keeps you kind of secure in there while he gets you sobered up, at least enough where you can understand what he's saying, and says, and he tells you that, look, I'm from an agency called Timeworks from the year 2020. We of course you probably don't believe him at first.
What is that? Where's that? Isn't that down in the Diamond Quarter there? Timeworks, don't they make those fancy fancy watches there that just coming out with Rolex, something like that.
We're a little after them, and to prove it, what he does is he says, let's see, he'll have you look at your he'll have you look in your wallet, and no, actually, let me think. I'm trying to think. He'll, what kind of thing would he perform? Like, because he can retroactively sort of, when he gets back, they can actually send someone to do what he needs done. In other words, when he gets back with you, he can have them say, "Oh, make sure this happens at this time, at this place." In other words, does someone call that motel room that looking for you? Like, how the hell would they know you're there? Or do you suddenly get a tattoo on your arm that wasn't there before, like while you're sitting there? That kind of thing. What do you think would convince Jack?
A tall, buxom, redhead, emerald green eyes, half naked, bringing him a bottle of wild turkey. With a sultry look, knocking at the door and just asking, "You want a good time there, Pilgrim?"
So your character probably says that jokingly, and he says, "All right." Next thing you hear the door. Sure enough, she comes in. She says those things. He hands her a little pile of bills, and says, "Thank you." And she smiles.
No, thank you. His eyes open up as big as $10 gold pieces, and say, "Honey, thanks for the wild turkey. How about the good time?"
He says, "Well, speaking of time, we have more important things to talk about."
There ain't nothing more. Oh, and then he'll look down at his wrist, as he was saying. There ain't nothing more important than this. And then he sees that, and he says, "No."
And once she's gone, he looks down at your wrist as well, and he kind of leans in. He's like, "Look, I know you've been trying to get the people that took her from you. What if I said we could get her back?" And then the scene cuts.
He'd be saying, "What do I got to do?
Exactly.
Who do I got to kill?"
Well, not in your first mission.
No. I'm just his mind going that way. He would sell his soul to Satan in his mental aspect to accomplish that.
Awesome. So that'd be a great scene playing out. I love that. All right. What about the nondescript scientist drifter, which we don't have his name for him yet?
I just came up with a name.
Okay.
Dr. Mortimer Wormwood.
Oh, nice. Even the Wormwood theme. Nice. I like it.
What's up? Yeah.
That's the asteroid that's supposed to hit the planet and turn all the water, blood, and everything there in the Book of Revelations.
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
Yeah, I've almost got my entire card punched on surviving apocalypses. So I'm good. All right. Yeah. So well, I mean, his is interesting because he's actually looking for time travelers, right?
Right.
So
I'm trying to figure out, like, when's the point that they come forward and say, "Hey, you're right,"
Well, his could be pretty unique. He might actually, like, maybe he stumbles upon an operation or something like that, like as it's going on. Like the first time you encountered them, they actually weren't there for you. they were there doing something else.
Right. Yeah, I kind of like that idea a little bit, because the other idea I had was like super depressing, and I feel like we already have the depressing character. We don't need two of them.
Right. Yeah.
Well, possibly go the other way. In your experiments, you actually open up a tight, tiny little episode of time, which they tracked and followed you on back.
Well, if he's a drifter, I don't know if he'd have access to this or the equipment to do that.
Yeah.
But
especially in the 50s.
Yeah. But yeah, you could definitely
any atomic reactor.
I don't think there were any in the 50s. Were there?
Well, you had where they're making material for what?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Let's see. He sneaks onto the drifter sneaks onto a military base.
Out there material
during the Cold War.
Out in the desert where Big Boy was.
Right. Piece of cake. But no,
he's going to turn himself into another Dr. Manhattan. It's going to be great.
Right.
Yes.
So let's see. What kind of operation could they have been doing? Let's see. We'll make it a simple one. We'll say that they were going to stop a car crash for someone, and this guy lost his family in a horrible car wreck where the car went off the road, and so what do you think you're using to find these guys? I mean, I don't think you're necessarily walking around with like a little handheld device, but maybe what do you think would be the potential indicator? This one's a tough one because again, I'm trying to, I want to keep it sciencey without making it like.
Well, that's why I was kind of aiming for the 90s originally.
Oh yeah,
because the technology that could possibly determine that would be far more transportable.
Well, I mean, we could say that before you were discredited, you could have you could have some equipment in the back of a panel truck or something.
So what I was thinking is basically something that measures the flow of time, and so when the time travelers they come through, they don't necessarily cause damage to time, but they create little ripples, and the device he has is able to sense those ripples.
Okay.
And is able to record them, so he's able to say, aha, and he can. So using triangulation, he's able to kind of pinpoint where these ripples happened, and that's what he's been doing. Is he goes to point A? He has.
Maybe it only gives you direction and an approximate distance. It doesn't give you exact coordinates, and so you've been doing this for a while, and then finally you were coming down this road, and let's see, they were going to keep we'll say it's a road along a with a steep drop off, maybe one of those winding roads in California or something, and and you see these two guys who have set up to do some road work and basically getting people to slow down on this turn. Mm-hmm. So that's basically how they do it. They the car ended up having its tire blow out on a sharp curve when they were going at normal speed, and they went off. So they basically set up some fake road work, mm-hmm. So the car slows down. As they're going by, the tire still gives out, but now they just end up pulling over, changing the tire, and going on their way. You get there, and your truck is stopped because of the air quotes road work, and you see this car, you see them stop and change the tire, and you're waiting while their car is kind of blocking the way, and maybe you notice that what might you notice about these guys that could indicate, I mean, they're assuming that they're seasoned agents. They're not going to have anything that's like obvious. They're not going to be like in a cell phone stick out of their pocket.
Yeah, they're not going to have any anachronistic objects.
Right. Or a tattoo that says, go 2008 Red Sox,
Right.
something like that. Wait, what?
Well, it would have to be like their knowledge of what was going to happen. So they would probably. So
maybe he saw them, or he might even just notice that they're not really doing any real work.
Yeah, they're not doing any real work, and they helped with the tire a little too quickly. Like they had the stuff already ready to go. The tire.
Yeah.
And I think those were the clues, and that's why it's so hard for him to get the evidence, is because these don't necessarily point towards any one thing.
Right, and the only reason that you suspect anything is because this is the direction your apparatus pointed.
Yeah, and so I think he'll see that, get super damned excited, and it pulls over off of the road and gets out and approaches them.
All right. So just as the car is sort of driving off, and they're kind of nodding their heads with the job well done and going back to the stuff, and one of them's kind of waving you through, kind of like, go ahead, so what do you do?
He'll kind of like roll down the window.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, how y'all doing?
Doing okay, sir.
Yeah, when you from?
Sorry?
When are you from?
You see them exchange looks. I think, where we're from, I'm from San Francisco, and that's a strange thing to ask, isn't it?
I don't think you're from around these times.
They're kind of looking at each other, and
yeah, y'all seem to help with that tire awfully fast. Maybe just a little too fast, for my opinion. Like you kind of knew it was going to happen.
Partner Richard Petty's pit crew.
Yeah.
They seem genuinely taken aback by your apparent understanding of what's going on, and one of them looks at the other. He says, the other one shrugs, like, we have to make a field call. It's like, all right. Hang on 1 sec. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry. I felt the sneeze coming.
Oi!
Yeah.
Simon, no. Quit being naughty. God damn it. No.
We're babysitting. You want to call it that? My youngest daughter's and my son-in-law's dog because of their in transition of moving places, and trying to place it pet friendly.
Oh, geez.
But it's supposed to be there, situated by February. So, but she's a beautiful pit bull. Real good nature. Big old dog. All she wants to sit on my wife's lap.
Yeah. Mine's in the ass.
So actually, I go with it. He'll he says, we're staying at the Monarch Hotel down in Seafront. If you want to, if you want to meet us there, we can maybe we can discuss this. think you might find it to your advantage.
Totally.
I'm sorry. Your name is?
Oh yes, I am Dr. Mortimer Wormwood. I have no idea how long I've been looking for you.
All right. We'll meet you there in say an hour.
I'll be there with bright-eyed Bushdale.
Yeah, he gives you the address of the place.
He takes off a little too enthusiastic, almost runs off the road.
Yeah, and he runs up the road.
Oh, well, all right. I guess we're rolling a different character, guys. I didn't know I was playing Traveler.
Right, dying character creation.
Well, that's one of my favorite aspects of traveling.
Never actually played it.
Sorry, pal, you didn't survive creation.
Yeah.
Well, you get down to your last enlistment or whatever you're on. You got four already up there, and getting up there close to Admiral General, and then you roll survival, and there goes your character. You got about 30 or 40 years worth of character information that just went into the casket.
All right. So, sure enough, you meet them there eagerly as they show up with a third gentleman, and they invite you into their room. The two of the workmen you saw, though, they're dressed much nicer right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not too nice. They're not like the men in black suits with dark glasses or anything like that. They're just dressed as casual businessmen of the time period. Keeping in mind we're talking 1950s. So the fedora and all that kind of thing. They're just dressed in standard clothes of the time.
Right.
The other one is much older, though not. How old is your character, by the way?
I'd say he's probably pretty young.
Okay.
Like late 20s.
Okay. So the guy with them, they're both in there maybe late 20s. Well, actually, I'd say they're probably both in their 30s, maybe. But the one who comes in with them is definitely older, probably like in his early 50s, maybe. Still in good shape. He's not enfeebled or anything like that. He's still looks fit enough. And he's wearing a Panama hat, and he kind of takes it off and sits down, and it says, Dr. Wormwood, you have I gather you have some very interesting information about how you were able to come upon us.
Yeah. So I was able to find these little fluctuations in the measurement of times that were different than what gravity does, So I was able to construct a device back at my old lab that could measure those fluctuations. I mean, they were kind of minuscule, but they at least gave me a direction and a distance. And, I wanted to tell people that there were people or things or something was popping through time, but I knew I would just be kicked right out of the scientific community, so I had to get evidence. So I stole the device. It's in the truck outside, and I have been tracking. Presumably you people for a few years at this. I think I kind of lost track of personal time.
And you intuited this yourself. Did you work with anyone on the project?
No. This was all me. And like I said, I didn't want to say anything because I was afraid they were just gonna say you're a nutbag and get out of here and crazy. And,
Do you have notes, records of your experiments.
I have personal notes in my journal here, and it's just it kind of details everything, and I just cannot wait to. There's 3 of you here, and
perhaps you could just sit down and perhaps have something to drink.
You're gonna kill me, aren't you?
I don't think it would come to that. But we represent an agency called Timeworks. We operate out of the year 2020.
He spit takes.
Yeah.
Just you say 2020. Just
oddly enough, the guy starts ducking before you spit. No, he's like, I knew you could do that. And for a minute you think it's time travel related, but it's like no, he's just given this speech a lot of times and he knows what happens.
Yeah, he knows the timing.
Right, exactly. Nothing to do with time travel. Just I've done this before.
Repetition.
Did you know that was going to happen? Well, yeah, but not for the reason you think.
Yeah.
And he says, "I'm one of the technicians, which is why they brought me with them this time because to interview you personally, to look over your work. May I?" And he points to your notes.
Yeah. Hold on. And he reaches into a jacket pocket to pull out the notes, and he stops for a second and he's like, "I am so sorry. Just so you know, it's not loaded." And he pulls out like an 1800s revolver. It was my grandfather's, and I figured I could, if people gave me trouble, I could wave it around. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't work. I've never actually had to try it yet.
One of the other agents kind of like leans over and he says, and he kind of takes it gingerly from me with 2 fingers. Well, let's not find out.
I would like that back at some point.
You see this guy, the guy you're showing is looking at it, and he's like, "Oh man, this brings back some memories."
Yeah. By the way, it totally does work, and it's loaded. Okay.
Well, yeah, you see him actually like kind of flip it over in his hands and look on the barrel, and you see him just kind of turning it expertly in his hand. He turns out the cylinder, looks at it, puts it back in, like someone who's done it all their life.
Yeah.
Which he kind of did, but
yeah.
at least he was recruited by Timeworks.
But he then searches the other pocket and pulls out his little journal. It's full of notes.
Thank you. And he begins sort of looking through it. This is fascinating. And you say your detection equipment is in the truck outside, yes?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Sure, it's nothing compared to what you have,
Well, it's considering it was only you with limited funds and in this time period, I would say it's rather extraordinary. I'd like to make you an offer, if you'd be willing to join us in going to our to the Timeworks facility and working with us. You'd have full access to the time displacement equipment, supervised, of course. We have security measures, as you might imagine, but with enough security clearance, you'd gain more and more access, and we could certainly benefit from your seemingly what's the word, inherent knowledge of time displacement. Is that something that appeals to you?
There is no way I could say yes more.
he kind of thinks about it for a second. Good. You see, he reaches in his pocket. He takes this little black device. Just a little bit, little piece. It looks like plastic. You think you haven't seen much plastic, but in this time period. But it's a little object with a little tiny red light on it. You can't imagine how how they made a light that small. And he says, good. And he takes it out and touches the button, and you hear this big explosion outside.
Was that my?
That was your truck. Yes.
That was my.
And they proceed to prepare you for displacement or the return displacement to Timeworks.
All right then.
Well, they don't want anyone else having that technology,
right? So. No, yeah, totally makes sense. I'm just picturing, okay.
All my years of hard work,
exactly.
and all my nickels and dimes, all the bottom had the same.
I think he definitely has to prioritize.
I don't think bottle returns were a thing in the 1950s.
I know they were as I was growing up in the 60s and 70s.
We had there was actually this soda company near where I lived, and we would go there, and that was when we bought soda in glass bottles, and so you would pick out the soda you wanted off this conveyor belt, and you put it in the wooden box and bring it home, and then you bring them back there, trade them in, and buy more soda.
Yeah. Pepsi. The Pepsi
that would have been the 70s.
The Pepsi plants up here until they closed the one in Watertown, New York. Did that. Go buy yourself a rack of 16-ounce glass bottle Pepsis, and you return them and got so much off of them, and if you brought back some extras that somebody else had, they give you like a bottle.
Yep. In any case,
good old days.
Yeah, in some ways.
Hey, that was a livelihood as a kid. That's back when you could get two pieces of candy in a candy store for a penny.
I didn't enjoy the gas lines though. Anyway, yeah. So you are that's the short story of your recruitment. Awesome. So you're both returned to the Timeworks facility. Now, what was I going to say? As far as character creation goes, now you already know the basics of making a character in Ubiquity, both of you. So I'm giving you the starting 15 points, but what I'm going to do is, once you create your base character, you'll get a bunch of experience that you can then spend to sort of round them off, and we'll begin you as sort of new, because sometimes you can start off as a more seasoned time agent if you want, or we can start or as someone newer. I think particularly because Charles wants his character to to be figuring out how to save his daughter is one of the missions that you guys will be newer, because that'll be part of it. That wouldn't be one of the first ones they would send you on, though. They want to make sure you can handle yourself before they send you to one that is
I would think
personally sensitive.
Yeah, I would think Jack really wouldn't be too open with that intent. Though that prime intent in his head, he sees he's kind of seeing the value of what he was shown.
Yep.
and that's how he's to do his personal goal is that he's not going to talk really a lot about wanting to go and do that. He's going to look for the opportunity when he can possibly get away with doing it.
Sure. Well, it's not even getting away with it. You can get full permission to do it. Like
like his mind right now.
Yeah.
Early on into this, that's how he'd be thinking about it.
Oh, sure. But yeah, even in your orientation though, as when they sort of present your your what do you call it, your benefits package, that sort of thing.
My perks, and it was perky.
It was perky. Yeah, I mean, the one thing they definitely do is they pay their agents well. They don't want you to be to risk being paid off by someone. Agents
do we have enemies?
No, not really.
Then who's going to pay us off?
Anyone who just wants to find out if let's say someone like our friend Dr. Wormwood suspects that the time travel is a thing, and they suspect you. They could offer an insane amount of money to spill the beans about it.
So then he would be the hypothetical enemy of Timeworks, and then we have to just go ahead and squash that threat.
Oh, they wouldn't necessarily kill him. They could just have a time displacement and just make sure the encounter never happened. Mm-hmm. They don't automatically go to the killing, though they're certainly not they don't shy away from it either. But management isn't terribly concerned about leaks for three reasons. The first one is that the cover-up story provided by Timeworks video games makes it highly unlikely that anyone would be believed if they started ranting about time travel. In fact, there's a greater risk that they would be thrown into a mental hospital rather than be taken seriously. The second reason is that the pay and benefits is so great. You're provided a six-figure salary, extended vacations, access to resorts around the world, free transportation, personal protection if requested, and perhaps the most valuable perk of all, the ability to have a single small personal event in the past changed. Of course, the change is subject to management approval, but there have been surprisingly few requests that have been rejected. The most common requests have been to save a loved one who was killed by an accident, or to have the opportunity to reconcile with a family member who has passed on from natural causes. Other requests have involved meeting historical figures, witnessing historical events, and even vacationing in a specific time period. These forays into the past are always supervised by objective time agents, though they are given quite a lot of latitude simply because the timeline is so difficult to alter. The third reason that management is unconcerned about information leaks is the implicit knowledge that Timeworks can and will use time displacement equipment to repair any damage done, deliberately or accidentally, by Timeworks employees. The repairs are quite easy in fact. One example took place in 2010 when two agents were out for drinks and were overheard by an investigative reporter who managed to have a serious investigation launched. Once the problem was detected, the event was quickly erased with no harm done. The unspoken assumption is that the company could in fact have a wayward employee erased at any time, and it is this subconscious knowledge more than anything that keeps people in line.
The knowledge you just might cease to exist if you stray from the path is pretty good motivator.
Yeah. But they prefer to use the carrot rather than the stick, so hence the hence the money involved.
Less work.
Well, it is, yeah. And they have more than enough money.
Yeah.
Between the time travel and the software development. So they have a facility called the Condo. As part of its overall plan to maintain security, Timeworks provides a community living complex where employees with the proper security clearance can live with their families. Known simply as the Condo, this living center provides housing and services for 50 families, including food services, laundry, electricity, recreation, health and medical services, and a company motor pool. The condo is currently at 70% capacity and has enough power and supplies to operate independently for up to 20 years. One benefit of living in the condo is that, like the rest of the Timeworks facility, is protected from changes in the time stream with an isolated QFN cage. This keeps the families of employees safe in the event of an unintended temporal event. There's a more private section of the condo that's sort of set apart for time agents due to their often odd and eccentric habits. Especially if you have people from really different times who are, still kind of working on coping with dealing with this. All right. So the primary attributes, you get 15 points. For skills, you get 17. To spend it as you like.
Is there a rating table I can look at? Attributes.
Yeah, and that book.
Yeah.
Towards in that section, the section on attributes. Let's see what page is that. I saw that there.
Yeah.
I just know intelligence is probably going to be my highest.
That would make sense, yeah. Because clearly you're brilliant.
Right there. It's page.
It's page 8 in the document.
Yeah.
Page. Ignore the page numbers in the bottom.
Yeah. Page number on the bottom is 27. In the PDF, it's 8.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have enough points to get a 6, so I guess I'll have to go below that.
Well, you also don't want to make your others too low. Like, you don't want to be completely feeble and...
I'll be horrible and everything else. It's just my mind.
So you're basically in a wheelchair like Dr. X,
Yeah. And this is a 5 per point, right?
No. Those 15 points, you just it's a 1-for-1.
Oh.
Because this is your character creation. So
Gotcha. Okay.
So you spread those 15 over your primary attributes, and then your secondary attributes are derived from those.
I'll go 4. I think a 4 is good.
Yep.
I'm tempted to go with 5, but let's back it off a little.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, the ratings, 4 is great. Yeah, 5 is excellent. 6 is amazing. So. But remember, 2 is average, so you could have all of them 2, except for intelligence. If you wanted to be brilliant, right?
I go with a 1 in charisma.
Yeah.
Because in the spur of the moment, I decided he's a stutterer.
Okay.
I now stick with that.
Yeah. Well, for example, like if you put 2 in all of them, except for intelligence, you could have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So you could actually have a 5 intelligence. And if you have 1 in any of those, you could have a 6 intelligence. So if you wanted to be that intelligent, it's certainly,
I think I want to be a little bit more rounded.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's see.
Body. What is that? Over there.
We're gonna pair it. It'll be beautiful.
Brains and brawn.
Well, you could. You might be able to say that because let's see here. I got his attributes already set out. 3 for body, 5 for dex, 2 for strength, 1 for charisma, 2 for intelligence, and 3 for willpower.
Both have 1 in charisma.
It goes with the character concept.
I know, that's fine.
I mean, it really does. And hopefully the story as he progresses, he may spend points to try to get that up to average.
That's true, yeah. Well, it'll only be 10 experience, so it's not too bad.
I got 1 point left.
Okay.
So I got a 2 in body, 1 in charisma, 3 dexterity, 4 intelligence, 2 strength, and 2 willpower.
Let's say I'd probably put into intelligence, because that is based on what your character's able to do. Well, that would make sense, right?
Right. But here's the thing: is the idea of being a breaker. What does that go? Is that a particular stat it goes off of?
It actually does. That resilience is the one you want for that.
What is that?
Let me double check. Just have to go to. Why did I do that? That was silly. Secondary attributes. Resilience. That's actually resilience is willpower plus charisma. So.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. So well, you could counterbalance your charisma by beefing up your willpower.
All right, and here's what I'll do.
Here. 8, 10. Let me count.
So you could have like a 3 or 4 in willpower, and that would sort of balances out.
5, 6. You said 17, right?
17 for skills, yes.
For skills or 15 for attributes.
15 attributes, 17 for skills.
I just want to make sure I didn't mess up my math.
Yep, no problem.
That's counting there.
So
5.
Switch it up. Body's 1.
Okay.
Charisma's 2. Dexterity 3. Intelligence 4. Strength 2. Willpower 3.
Okay. Nice. Perfect. Did the auto calc feature work on those?
Yes, it did.
Oh, good.
Oh, I've been writing it down manually.
That's okay. I decided to try, since it was such a simple thing to when I made the autofill, to have it automatically calculate the secondary attributes.
Ooh, initiative 7.
Ooh.
Health of 4.
don't get a don't get hit by a strong wind. There's a strong wind killed Dr. Wormwood, I'm afraid. What's his defense?
Defense is a 4.
Nope. With any luck, you'll with your shortcomings, you'll earn a lot of style points.
Yeah.
You pour those into your defense and
my
mitigate damage.
Perception is 7, so that's good.
Yeah,
I'm really good seeing shit.
Well, no, that's perfect for the character.
Yeah.
And you get a talent and a flaw. I think you're already kind of working on your flaws there, so that's pretty good.
Skills are the same thing, right? 1-to-1?
Yeah.
For character creation?
For character creation, yes.
Okay. Alright, we're definitely going to go with science. I know, we're...
No. I would not say such a thing.
Yeah, easy. I think Jack will be fun.
Oh yeah.
He's already got his skills down. Stealth, firearms, melee, demolition, streetwise, larceny, brawl.
Jesus. I guess I'll take out everything else.
Well, I'll tell you right now, his streetwise isn't that good because of his charisma.
Yep.
But it just makes sense with him being working the drag side on the PI to have some streetwise.
Well, yeah, oh yeah, and here's the thing though, you're streetwise. I mean, you don't necessarily use that as much because you can just beat what you need to know out of people who do have streetwise.
Yeah, kinda.
You don't know everything. You don't know where everything is, but you know someone who does, and they're going to tell you.
Well, just got to figure out my resources. I chose contacts.
Okay.
But just figuring out, who the contacts would be if we need to drill in tighter.
Well, that one's a tough one because if you're traveling through time, you're not going to have contacts out there in the world, really. Let me see here.
But and if needed, I'll change it. It's just with the cops, and I was thinking police forces and things like that, governmental agencies.
Well, chances are, if you have any contacts at all, chances are they would be within the Timeworks facility. Like maybe you have a good relationship with someone there, like
that redhead,
like yeah, right, or like the quartermaster who who handles getting equipment or
whiskey.
Yeah. Sure.
No, but I put that down there just as a catch slot. So
that's fine.
As we kind of
yeah, and again, this was sort of designed for a different game, so I mean, it's you don't necessarily need to.
I think it's working pretty good.
Oh yeah,
I like the impulse of the flaw.
Yep. Yeah,
I think that would set with.
Sure.
With the way he's thinking and where he's coming from.
I'm going to take archery just because.
Okay.
Just go running into a battle with a bow and arrow. Boom.
Men in shorts.
In the right time period, it could work.
Or short tights.
I'm gonna. So, is there a bit of training that goes on between our first mission?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
And that's where you can use some of your I'll get you some more experience points to spend as well.
Well, that's why I'm gonna grab electronics and computers.
Yeah. Oh right, because you wouldn't have had access to those. So yeah, that's.
Right. And that's why we need to verify that there would be training.
Oh yeah.
Him being just naturally.
Yeah, they would be bringing you up to speed on that kind of thing, and of course your character would be drinking it up, and they'd want you to do that too. I mean, because they recognize your innate knowledge of almost inherent knowledge of time. That you could become eventually quite valuable in the agency beyond just being an agent.
Right. Almost forgot to take temporal braking and mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
So electronics and computers, both intelligence. Mechanics is that. Resilience is. I do not have written down. It's a 5. Okay. 11 points. Okay. Nope. We're gonna change that.
By the way, Charles, your character Jack, he they would ask you this before, before embarking on any kind of rescue mission for your daughter. When that's complete, did you want to just rescue her and then let time unwind, or did you want to bring her to Timeworks with you?
Wow,
either would be acceptable.
That's probably the hardest question he'll have to ponder.
Mm-hmm.
In a while, because that's.
And of course, if you had a wife, right?
Yeah.
She would be welcome, of course, as well.
The bitch. She left me.
Oh.
She didn't stand by my side. She ain't one ride with. I don't care. No, I don't know. I have to think on that.
Yeah, you think about it.
Because that's
time.
I would.
I mean, but even if you don't like your wife, it is your daughter's mom, and she.
And that's the thought progression that he's asked that right now. All he's worried about saving the daughter.
Sure.
And even if it means saving the daughter so that she could be with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And have that timeline go on that way. He'd pull the sacrifice as a type of repentance for feeling that he has to do the greater thing for the love of his daughter. That way to go along with the motivator. So
sure.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Okay, so you're gonna save her and then let her continue on in her own timeline?
Yeah.
With her mother,
his ex-wife.
Yeah. Okay.
Or a strange wife.
Yeah.
She likes people that don't smell like whiskey and sweat. She's an upstanding, great mom for a kid. Tight.
Okay. Well, there's still time to change your mind before that happens too.
Yeah. But I think that's the route to really go, because then it won't change the timeline too much.
Well, again, it wouldn't matter too much, because ultimately your wife and child aren't they're important to you, but they're not big in the grand scheme of the timeline.
They're everything in the timeline to Jack.
Well, right, exactly, but
he'd argue the corporation to his last breath to when they go.
Right, but they would be important to you, regardless whether they're in the 1970s or in the
2020. But he'd stay fighting for their ultimate importance.
Sure.
Right up time that the corporation gets tired of Jack and goes back and fills his mom up with a bunch of spermicide before Pop goes ahead and creates them.
Oh, they had much more subtle ways than that. All right, awesome. So,
skills.
You good on skills, and Jack, you good on skills as well?
Yeah.
All right. And you both have your talents and flaws. Yes.
Talents, flaws. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
My talent gives me that 5 in my dex.
Now, when you I guess what we'll do is the next session we will we'll send you guys on your first Timeworks mission.
All right.
And this will be post training, and let me see here.
Talents. Ooh, attractive. Agile. God, I thought I was going to have to scroll through all of these.
What about equipment?
Yeah. Actually, equipment is entirely up to you. But you're limited on what you can bring with you on a mission because you're not. They have limitations on technology. Not that they've never brought technology into an inappropriate time, but it's rarely done. They prefer you to work with what you have, work with what they had at that time. Timeworks facility has an excellent library of clothing and money and
All right.
accoutrements and gear and
I was just wondering if there was something for us to worry about. That's one of
the things. That's one of the things you don't have to worry about. The only piece of personal equipment you need to worry about is your anchor, which that is critical.
Okay.
So there's a talent called Intelligent that gives you a +1 intelligence rating.
Yep. Yep.
I'm kind of leaning towards that right now.
I think there was also one I think that was pretty good about what was it? Wasn't it like Total Recall or something like that, or Total Recall.
Yeah, that's the other one I was thinking about.
Yeah, because you never, you're basically an eidetic memory. You never forget anything. You see read or hear. That can be extremely useful. Doesn't give you the plus in intelligence, but
Right, but it's like I don't have to remember. I can just ask the GM, the player. I mean,
right? But yeah, but I mean, I tell you, depending on what it is,
Right. Remember, there was a watching Critical Role in the second season. One of the players, took that feed. Yeah. So that way he never had to actually take notes. I mean, he did anyways.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but as long as it was within that 30 days, he could just ask GM, "Is like, do I remember?
What did I remember about that?"
Yeah.
One of my favorite little snippets from that was Laura's character Jester with the sending spell. She's always sending messages to people, and they're always bizarre. And she makes sure she uses up all the words, no matter what. So at the end, it's always like, "Hope you're well, poop." Just use the last word.
You have to use it otherwise.
Well, it was funny because she was contacting one of the other characters' father without the person knowing, and pretending to be like a spirit or something like that, and watching over him, like, "I'm watching you" with a spooky voice. And Matt said something like, I never really noticed how dangerous a spell like that was until it was placed in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
Or I didn't know that spell could be used that way in the wrong hands until it was placed in the wrong hands or something like that. It was great. Because literally you could send a message, just put a message into someone's head and talk to them at any time, unless they have some kind of magical protection. I thought that was hysterical. Yeah, I mean, so you don't have to decide right this instant too. You can kind of muddle it over to decide. But you guys are going to get 15 experience points that you can spend however you like. On top of that, now that you'll be spending it at experience point cost, of course. So stuff is some stuff is a little pricier. But that'll bring you up to, any training you've had, your experiences up until, with Timeworks up until then, that kind of thing.
I'm gonna go with that eidetic memory one.
Okay.
Just because I feel like that's a little bit more narrative, and I don't want to go super crunch.
No, that's fine. Now keep in mind with those extra 15, you could get another talent as well if you wanted to, or if you want to, beef up something else like increase an ability score, or get more skills. So like you were saying, get some update some of the skills that you wouldn't have had as a man of the 1950s to a man of the
the
21st century.
Concern with some of those is they literally have a star next to them saying this is only available during character creation.
Like which one?
The Total Recall, the Intelligent one.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
There's quite a few of them. I even thought about taking the Resolute, because I do plan on doing the whole temporal thing. But
that's true. Yeah,
pretty high already. I'm sitting at a total rank of 8. And,
that's pretty good.
Temporal braking.
Well, you could specialize in that, and for a specialty I think that's when you take precognition.
Oh yeah, I definitely once I get to that, but I think I gotta do flaws now. So.
Okay. And
we get one flaw.
Yep.
Said? Right, one talent, one flaw.
Yep.
Where are the flaws? Ooh, danger magnet.
Oh yeah. That's what I'll do. I know pretty much where I'm going to go with my experience point. Only one experience point left over.
Nice.
But I'll go ahead and I'll raise my charisma to 2.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of makes an interesting sense too, because your charisma was pretty down, but now that you've been given this sort of new lease on life, and not only that, there's actually not just hope of avenging your daughter, but actually bringing her back. You would have never hoped that before.
And then pick up the acrobatic skill.
Nice.
Your
70s cop. You got to slide across those hoods.
Well, what he's been using it for is they've been sliding their drinks down the bar, and they've been dropping. Now he's catching them with clash and style before they hit the floor. Those shot glasses.
Yeah. Now of course, Timeworks cares not at all what you do in your spare time. Within the bounds of the rules. However, so you can drink yourself on the table every night. But they would have restrictions, pre and during missions.
All right, I think I got my flaw. It's
okay.
Obsessive.
Okay.
Obsession. I mean that fits.
Right now. Yeah. And the object of your obsession obviously is time travel.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can use that. Because remember, again, keep in mind too, your flaws are. I mean, you can get style points a lot of ways, but your flaws are sort of your style point generators. Those are like your main battery for style points, because those are the ones, playing your flaws are the ones that are really going to get you the, earn you more style points.
Jesus fuck, goddamn. Oh. Okay, time to spend XP.
Yep.
This PDF is so laggy, and by that I mean my computer, because PDF.
Well, it also gets laggy when you have a lot of forms in it. So
there we go. Wow!
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 windows.
Sure.
Because I just don't feel like closing some of them.
And I don't think there's anything I can get for one experience point. So.
No, hey, just save it.
Oh yeah. That's what.
Now, if there's any other personal equipment that you want to have with you all the time, as long as it would generally, it doesn't necessarily have to fit in perfectly with a time period, as long as it doesn't stand out as something not from that time period. Like, for example, if you brought a fancy knife with you that you carried all the time, even if they didn't make such knives then, wouldn't be that big a deal. You could have a custom knife made, that kind of thing. But you can't bring smartphone to the old west.
I can't take my phone with me.
Nope.
Ridiculous. You're telling me they didn't have phones back then?
That's they do now. No, no, it wouldn't be that easy to change anyway.
What about a concealable armored vest?
Under certain circumstances, they like I said, they
in my mind, I'll leave that as a question left.
Yeah,
by mission.
Right. That would be mission specific. If you're any place like 70s or later, you could probably get away with it. But if you're going back to the Napoleonic Wars, then probably not so much.
Mechanical locking kit.
Yeah.
All right.
That would be fun. Because those are just pieces of metal,
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the two those three gens as far as that I was melding, and what they had for equipment. That would fit the standard.
Yeah. Well, and keep in mind too that Timeworks has a very comprehensive fabrication department.
Yeah.
So, if they can make almost anything out of almost any material. They can fabricate specific things for you that like if you want a concealed lockpicking kit, they can make something for you that would not only be time agnostic, it could fit in almost any time, but could be like they wouldn't use certain plastics for it. For example, they would actually use leather. They wouldn't use titanium, for example, but they would use they could use some other kind of alloy that they could get away with. So they've been doing this for a while, so they're pretty good at
night vision goggles.
Not so much.
Turn them into night vision sunglasses.
Yeah. Well, even they don't have that technology. Remember, they're in our time. So if it doesn't exist now, then they probably don't have it.
Well, actually, you can get those.
That being said, they do have some pretty cutting edge stuff. Like their medical facility here is extraordinary, and they have some of the best medical minds in the world working here.
But they do got those. They do nowadays. Nowadays they got these night vision glasses where they're using green lasers off the sides, small green lasers that light up the area. They're neat. They're a little expensive, but
and again, they're not opposed to.
Well, I'm not saying for the game. I'm just saying that we have in the last few years on that kind of stuff. Jumped on up there pretty decent. I guess firearms wait till mission.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or there may be none, depending on. I mean, you guys.
Well, that's why I say wait till mission.
You guys might have to spend a few weeks training on flintlocks. If it's for some missions. So you never know.
Oh,
and that's the cool thing about time displacement is like, there's not a time limit. Like if let's say some rich individual really wanted this amazing work of art that was rumored to have existed but was destroyed during the sacking of Paris, during some world war. it burned down with some building or whatever. Oh shit! I lost where I was going with that. What were we talking about before?
Pistols.
Flintlocks. No. No. I know what it is. I know what it is. Like they could essentially take time to train you, and not have to worry about because they can still go back to that time no matter how long it takes you to train.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
I was going somewhere else with that, and I lost my train of thought because I was
Well,
I was trying to think of an example, and I thought of a really good one, and then I forgot what the example was for.
But what he'll keep on himself for all the timelines for some reason is the mechanical lock picking kit.
Mm-hmm.
A large knife like a survival knife.
Yep.
And a tactical flashlight.
Okay. Yeah, if acceptable during the time period. Yep. But if not, they can get you other flashlights. They can. They even have a few clever cheats.
Well, tactical and what I'm kind of like tactical flashlight I use. They got now for hunting and camping.
Yep.
They fit in the palm of your hand. They're small, bright LED or halogen bulb.
Yep.
And you can put them in your pocket.
Mm-hmm. No, I know they exist. I'm saying that you.
I'm just saying that's what he was thinking. What I'm thinking for him for a flashlight, not necessarily.
For example, one of the things they have, there's a few cheats that they use pretty regularly. One is, if you're going back to a time where they had flashlights, like say 1950s.
Yeah.
But they just had regular bulbs. They've been able to make something that looks exactly like the bulb of the time period, but within the bulb itself is a powerful LED.
Yeah, it's like LED bulb we got now.
Sort of, yeah. Except this one has an outer casing that looks just like a regular light bulb.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Our LED house bulbs.
Oh yes. I'm talking about like a flashlight bulb.
Yeah.
Or
you're talking about the outer covering.
Right. So that way you can still have an old 1950s era flashlight, but it's going to last a little bit longer than the average. So, they and it's something that if it gets lost, the odds of someone taking apart a little tiny bulb and examining it, is very unlikely. And some things they actually have built in self-destruct features that not like a big explosion, but something that will deteriorate quickly. So there's they have a few workarounds for certain things. But under certain circumstances, they've even allowed technology to go back, but it has to be a very specific circumstances.
Let's see here.
They've used drone surveillance before. Under circumstances where the drone is not intended to survive, and so it really wouldn't matter.
He's going to want to hit flask.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's fine. But again, it has been stressed to you many times that heavy drinking on duty is forbidden.
Yep. And he'll abide. As far as because his goal is his daughter. He knows he has to put in his dues, like being a rookie cop on the team.
Yep.
To get where he needs to be, so he can have more impact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got a big carrot.
Yeah. And so that's gonna moderate some of his bad behavior.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good moderation there. So did Nick? Did you spend all your points now? You're muted. I can't hear you.
I have 1 point left.
Okay, cool. same with Jack, so that's good. That gives you something to start with. Now you're each going to start with 5 style points.
Oh, okay.
You get 1 for your flaw, and 4 just for start, getting started. What else do we need to do here? Let me double check the Timeworks manual. And during the week, you can read through some of the stuff I gave. Like I gave a PDF, but I also have the stuff that I posted there. There may be some repetition, but some of the training video stuff is kind of fun and cool. It gives you a real feel for the setting and the organization. I've made some changes. A lot of the stuff that I've talked about, things that I've embellished on, like in the original Timeworks thing is, let's see. It's only about 40 pages, so there's not a ton of material there, but I came up with a lot of myself, including the Timeworks software cover thing. I like the idea that they would make a video game about Timeworks, and then use that as their sort of plausible deniability. It also explains where they get their money from for their facilities and so forth. There are 2 major facilities in Newton, Massachusetts. Is the big software company building. That's sort of the public face of Timeworks. And then in Weston, Mass, you have what on paper anyway are sort of like the corporate sort of R&D offices where they sort of are looking into developing the game kind of thing, and but that's where the actual Timeworks facility is, the time displacement material, and they are connected via a very expensive subway, dedicated sort of subway system, a subway line that connects them.
Newton makes sense. It's close to MIT.
Yep. Yeah, well, all along Route 128 in Massachusetts is a technology belt, so you can't drive like 5 feet without seeing another nondescript, tech building of some kind or another. They're all over the place. It's a good way to blend in. But let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, this was originally made for Fate, but I like I said, I love the setting and time travel, time displacement concept so much that I decided to steal it. And it wasn't really that difficult to transition.
That's not stealing. That's reacquisition.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you read through like the PDF I sent plus the other stuff, you'll get a really good handle on how all this time displacement stuff works. Talk a bit about anchors. Like I said, your anchor is it's because the de-alignment process removes you from any temporal connection. Your anchor sort of retains that connection, and it basically allows it makes the transitioning back and forth through time, less stressful on you. It's basically necessary to keep you grounded in your new present, if that makes sense. Some Timeworks operatives develop unhealthy relationships with their anchors, believing them to be a mystical source of power, or they get very superstitious about them sometimes. Let me see.
I think I have my whole character sheet filled out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bumped up my temporal braking.
If you lose your anchor for more than an hour or so, the mental toll can be costly. That's when you start to develop, start taking mental. That's what your stress score is. You start to take stress damage. Until you can either reclaim the anchor or find a new one. Now, as a breaker, you can actually help someone who has suffered a loss of their anchor to remain connected.
Yeah,
but it's that basically you're sort of sharing their stress in a way. You're sort of helping to mitigate their stress.
I got a. By the way, for temporal braking, I have a 9 right now. So
nice, yeah.
And if I'm doing precog stuff, it's a 10 because I specialized. Nice. I can see the future.
Well, yeah. It's kind of like, you're not really so much seeing the future as you are taking advantage of just a little bit of precognition, like, jumping out of, not looking and just jumping out of a window and landing in the back of a truck passing by with a bunch of old mattresses in it or something like that. It's that kind of thing. It's more like this sort of heroic kind of luck thing almost, where you just have that moment of inspiration at a critical time, and you make the roll and see if you can manifest something that retroactively appears to be, or is retroactively said to be your precognition, if that makes sense, mechanically speaking, at least.
Right.
So yeah, it can also act like a little spidey sense kind of thing, like if the door's about to break open and some bad guys are coming, it's like, we're about to have visitors, but it's not a long time before, so it's like a last minute thing, so you have a little bit of extra time to react. So
yeah, well, in this case, it'd be like with Jack, it would just be like, hey, something's gonna go down, I'm gonna duck. Because I have I can shoot a gun, just not as well. Like I got a 6 for pistols.
You know what it kind of reminds me of is, do you see Men in Black 3?
Yeah.
With that alien guy there who could see see all time possibilities, and he's like, no wait, is this the timeline where, I think this is the timeline where he breaks the door in 5 seconds and shoots and begins shooting people, and then he sees something else happen. He's like, oh no wait, this is that other timeline where this happens.
Oh shit, I can't do that right now. Damn.
Yeah.
Hey, you put a big title T on there, man.
Yeah, I was gonna do some things, but right at the moment I can't. Oh well.
Mr. Title T.
Yes. Come on. Let me. I guess once I got that in this situation, I can't drop it. How about that?
As far as there's not like technically a limit on time travel as far as like how far back you can go.
Damn.
But there are practical limitations. Like, I watched a video about how far back could you go in time and still understand English, and it's not as far as you'd imagine. Like, like you could go back to, say, the late 1800s and understand things fairly well. There'd be a few colloquialisms you wouldn't get, and you'd sound weird, but you would understand. But if you start going back to the 16th century, 15th century, it becomes progressively harder to understand English because it's not the English you know. You know what I mean?
Well, it's good to know the King James version 1694 Bible.
Yeah, unless you know it in the original English,
The King James in the 1694 version is in the original.
Well, right.
And I had to, when I was reading that, I had to use the concordance that I got a lot to make sure I got the right words and meanings.
Oh yeah, it's a mess.
It's fun. It's fun.
But yeah, so certainly without training, you're limited on times you can go to. By the way, does Dr. Wormwood speak any other languages? I would say that with your intelligence, you could probably at least have two or three other languages.
Probably, although I'm not particularly sure which ones.
All right, again, you can think about it. Yeah, you can think about it. Or I tell you what, if you want, you can just you can have it based on the game situation. I'm not opposed to that. We can just you can just have 3 language slots, and we can just put them in there as as it comes up, kind of thing, if you want. Unless you have an inspiration, say, oh, you know what, I think you would know this language. Because again, especially with time travel like this, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you guys to create more backstory, and in fun ways. And so, don't be afraid to improvise a little bit as far as that goes. Like if you end up in New York in, say, the 1960s, well, you could run it. You could run into someone that Jack knows.
Yes.
My wife.
Or
someone he will know, or a relative of his, or his sergeant when he was still a beat cop, or whatever. There's all kinds of things you could potentially run into. There'll be all kinds of opportunities to add to backstories, or if you guys are just talking somewhere and say, yeah, I remember this time when I was breaking down the door to these thugs, and whatever, there'll be opportunity to build on it as you kind of go along. So it's okay if we keep the backstories a little bit vague now, because you guys can just add to them as you go. And especially, again, if you end up in the time period and location kind of around where, by the way, where did Dr. Wormwood sort of, where do you go, you might want to think of where he went to school, where he sort of worked out, like was he a Caltech, which was they did a lot during that time period.
Sorry about that. What?
Yeah. So you think about what college you may have gone to, where you did a lot of your work, where you grew up, that kind of thing. Or, like I said, if you want to leave it blank for now and then add to it later, that's fine too.
All right. So I made some more adjustments.
Okay. Well, much like Timeworks, you can make a lot of adjustments to the character until
you play. Yeah.
and then the Faraday cage drops and he's locked.
The thing is I'm really leaning into this temporal breaking thing. So
sure.
He's currently sitting at a rating of 10.
Yep.
So with
seriously
precog,
it would certainly make sense for him.
So yeah, when they went into initial training, that's what he focused on, I guess. So I'm gonna be trying to use that as much as I can. We'll see how well that goes.
Yep.
Excuse me. But the downside is his strength is now 1, which means his health is 5.
Well, 5 isn't bad. I mean,
wasn't it a 4 before?
It was, yeah.
So I gained health. Yay!
Yeah.
My down.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no, that's great. You wanna?
So I basically swapped a point of strength for willpower.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So.
Now, did you hear me talking with Charles about like equipment and stuff like that?
I think it was mostly it's like stuff that can't like that per mission basis or something.
Well, yeah. In most cases, you'll be given whatever you need for your mission.
Right.
They do limit, they have limitations on technology going back in time.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been circumstances where they've allowed it, or they've had it sufficiently camouflaged, like an LED made to look like a regular 1950s little flashlight bulb,
Edison bulb.
Yeah, well, just you remember the big old silver flashlights from the 1950s.
Yeah.
The bulb looked exactly like the bulb that you'd find in one of those, except that inside it has LED technology.
Yeah.
Again, the chances of
literally
damage to timeline is limited.
I have a LED bulb in the lamp above my desk.
Oh yeah, my whole house is lit by them now. So
and it's a Edison bulb, and I got that kind of intentionally because I'm looking up into a lamp that you're not designed to look into. So I wanted one that was low light, so that way I don't blind myself. Edison bulbs typically are pretty good for that.
I'm right there with you. But that being said, if you, in addition to your anchor, did you? I don't remember. Did we come up with an anchor for you or?
No, I was debating on that pistol.
Okay. That would be a tricky one because it's something that could be taken away from you if you were arrested or like
a bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that was a thing in the 50s. I'm sure.
Live hand grenade. That's my anchor.
Right. Hanging around your neck. It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I just said from a point of view of like if you're going back to do something that where you might have to deal with the cops, it could be a
left sock.
Were you a house elf?
A coin from the time period that you came from.
Well, it has to be personal though. It has to be like really sentimental.
It's kind of like the totems in Inception, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's exactly like that. In fact, the people who wrote this, they give a list of sources that inspired them, and that's definitely one. Yeah, Inception, Minority Report, 12 Monkeys. Those are some of the inspirations for this game.
12 Monkeys.
Yeah, I like that. I like that movie.
I love 12 Monkeys. It's so cool.
Terry Gilliam at his most serious, I guess. I don't know.
In a way, yeah. I mean, there were definitely aspects of it, like when the painting's hanging over his head and they all kind of like pop up to sing to him, like when he comes back. That was definitely classic Gilliam.
Well, that's the thing is like all the other Terry Gilliam movies I've seen are just like off the wall, weird, kind of funny.
This has its moments.
That one isn't.
This has its moments. Yeah. Like every scene that Brad Pitt is in.
Right, but it's kind of like that. It's a darkish humor. Like the tone of the movie overall is pretty grim, dark.
Oh, it is. Yeah, for sure.
Whereas like even Brazil, as messed up as that story is, has a pretty light tone about it somehow.
My complications had complications.
Yeah. The plastic surgery for the facelift was just a bizarre scene, I'll be honest. We have paper binders. I mean, attach them to your face. Anyways,
I thought the TV show that Alex told me to look at. They're happy. First words I listened into 10 minutes, and first words I messaged back to him. Damn, this thing starts off right quick.
Yeah.
Oh, that was me. I suggested.
Yeah, that was him. Yeah.
Oh, you. I said, damn.
Yeah.
That started off dark, quick.
Well, yeah, the way you described that character, I was like, man, this sounds a lot like that character that I don't remember his name of, or even the actor's name of that show. So, but yeah, just the weirdness of that show was fucked up. But,
So whatever your personal item is, figure out what that it could be. It can be like a photograph. It can be. Let me see what examples they give here.
Pocket watch.
Yeah, could be.
That's a little too cliche for my.
It is a little bit, but sometimes cliches are cliches for reasons. It could be a locket, photograph. I let he like Charles went with the bracelet that his daughter made, and that's a great one.
Photograph of your first science project
right.
won an award.
No, I mean it could be a little, maybe
a lug nut from the truck,
a gadget you made, or it can't be high tech, but it could certainly be something like that. I don't know. Like I said, you can kind of think about it. The more it'll blend in with different time periods, the better.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be perfect. As far as other stuff goes, anything that could blend in with most time periods is fine. Like I said, I mentioned the knife. Like if you had a particular knife that you wanted to bring with you regularly. And like I said, the facility at Timeworks has a fabrication department that can produce almost anything out of anything. That's at least physically possible. So they can they have the means and the manpower to produce things too. So
I need a screwdriver, and it makes a noise whenever I push a button.
Yeah.
A little light on the end that glows.
Yep. They can do that.
And I'll just start introducing myself as the doctor.
Right. Well, yeah. Maybe you kind of got once you get to the Timeworks era, you heard about the show Doctor Who, and you began to obsess about it, and like you've been in all your off time, you're watching like all the old episodes, trying to catch up to the current time.
I go back in time just so I can catch the episodes that don't exist anymore.
Right. Yeah. Hey.
You go back and get all the original action figures in the original boxes.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, yeah, you could. That could be an agent's thing. While they're there, it's like, I've always wanted a first edition of this album. Why don't we stop in this record store on the way past?
How much I can get on eBay for this, baby. And limited edition.
But that's one of the things you wouldn't care about that, because you get paid obscene amounts of money. So you could buy it if you wanted to.
There's so many zeros at the end of every paycheck. It's like, why bother?
Exactly. Yeah. So they pretty much ensure that money is not an issue. Wouldn't be an issue. But that's something to think about too, is what your character might want for their, if they decide they want a personal use of the Timeworks machinery, for their one personal trip. That's something that you can be thinking about as well. Does he want to have a half hour, have a little time talking to Isaac Newton, or whatever. And I'd like to bounce off Isaac Newton. Come find out he's an asshole and doesn't want to talk to you. But hey,
right. Can I call him Mulligan on this?
Yeah.
Didn't turn out like the way I thought it would.
Well, it's funny because that's something that happens a lot of times too. Agents they'll want to go see something in meet a historical person or visit a historical time period, and they almost invariably come back disappointed because the way history sort of painted it was dramatic and awesome, and it's kind of the difference between watching a real boxing match and watching Rocky. You watch Rocky, right. There's dramatic music, and you watch a regular boxing match, and you see two guys walking in a circle for about an hour. Finally, one of them goes, puh, puh, and then there's a big flurry of blows, like, puh, 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 and then another 10 minutes of walking in a circle. It's just not nearly as a real boxing match cannot be nearly as exciting as they can do in a movie. you know. So it's kind of like that.
Go back to Christ to ask him, what's the meaning of life?
Don't be a dick. Pretty simple, guys.
You see a scene where you brought back your Bible to get autographed, and he's like,
yes.
I said, what the fuck? I didn't say any of this shit. Jesus. I mean, me.
Son of a.
Here, I gotta make some annotations here. You got a minute? Like,
yeah.
No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that either. Jeez. Worst case,
you gotta admit, you had that kind of power where you go back that far or further.
Mm-hmm.
That would have to be on at least the top 10.
Probably.
I'm gonna go back and talk to Gilgamesh. I can't speak the language, but I'll hear it.
Yes, I'm looking for Mr. Mesh, Mr. Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
Is he around, man?
Go back and see what actually killed the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have an exit plan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you really want to do that?
Like, have your thumb ready on the dump button.
I was gonna say, yeah, bring some really strong sunglasses and some sunblock and. Oh, nice. Okay, temporal displacement. Get out of here.
Yeah.
We're experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. No. God damn it.
The footage of the atomic explosion going off. They're wearing the glasses.
Yeah. And the mouth's gonna go. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. You got bit by a velociraptor. God damn it.
I took my arm off, son bitch. Punch him in the dick. Oh, they're a cloaca. Did you know that? Also, look like giant chickens covered in feathers.
Yeah. I had so many goddamn feathers. I was reading an article. No, actually, they do tend to lean towards underfeathering dinosaurs, but they were probably really feathered, like a lot. Well, they just
imagine T-Rexes as like just giant versions of baby chicks.
Yeah,
like just tons of fluff and just these little things poking out.
Oh, it's so cute. Ah!
Yeah, except the fact that it's as tall as a building and will eat you
in one bite.
And those tiny little things that are sticking out may look tiny because the rest of it's so big. You get up close, and they got a human with no problem in that paw.
Yeah, I think traveling back millions of years would be might be a stretch for the technology. I do know that the traveling to the future was tried and failed, as I mentioned before.
Only supposed failed because they have no real proof.
Well, right, yeah. They just know they never heard from anyone ever again.
Because the future was so great. Why come back?
Or Timeworks agents of the future keep grabbing them to prevent them from going back or something. Or another agency is working against them.
Who's that? T-Rex.
That's all right.
That's awesome.
I saw a different one somewhere. I couldn't find it though, where it was like even more detailed and in color.
Yeah, Timeworks displacement technology is not precise enough to send a unit back to the exact minute that an event occurred, making investigative skills key to the success of any mission. Often Timeworks headquarters will send a unit back into the past weeks before a key event in order to give the unit time to make the needed changes before the event occurs. Let's see. Remember, however, that changes needed are relative to the scope of the effect. The quantum fields that hold the Third Reich in place are much more rigid and unbending than those that hold a car crash or individual murder constant.
Small changes easy, big changes hard. Got it.
Yeah, well, not just big changes, but like I said, changes that were widely observed or affect a lot of people. And you can change slightly bigger things, but again, it takes you have to make a bunch of small changes. I knew I read somewhere where the what the limits on time displacement were. I mean, other than, like I said, practical ones like can you speak ancient Aramaic or Latin or
yes,
or
learn
Greek.
learn Latin and Greek, and you got quite a bit.
Yeah, Greek especially. Greek was a that's awesome.
That's the one I was looking for earlier. That's whenever I think T-Rexes now, that's what I picture.
Yep. Bring that back with you. Oh, how cute.
Oh my god.
This thing that's eating me is so cute.
People are expecting, this thing, and they get the other one.
I won't eat eggs again.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, like, evolutionary speaking, there's actually not a whole lot difference between, dinosaurs and chickens. So
tastes like chicken.
I mean, major difference being is like bone structure and blood. Cold-blooded versus warm-blooded. That's kind of it. Probably open heart versus closed heart system as well, I guess, or circulatory. Still. Actually, no, dinosaurs probably would have to have a closed system because of their size. They would need all the oxygen. And there's more oxygen in the atmosphere, which is why I'm going to stop now. Because I'll just keep going. All right.
Going the way of the dinosaur.
Something like that.
The way of the dodo. All right. I'll be honest. I'm still a little gun shy on the whole 1950s origin setting.
Okay.
But I'm gonna let it sit. If like next week comes rolling around and I'm still uncomfortable with it, I'll like get a hold of you and we'll talk about it.
Sure, that's fine.
But as far as like the general story of like how it happened, I think it's perfect.
Cool. Yeah. Because that'll work for in either. Is there a particular reason? I'm okay either way. It's just I'm just curious.
Part of it is I don't know jack about that setting.
Oh, I see.
So I'm always a little cautious about that kind of stuff. On top of like, I don't know. Like it's just it's a setting I don't know a lot about. It's a setting I was never really that fond of, aesthetically. Speaking, not that
right.
really matters because like in theory you join the group and like you're not required to always look like you're from the 1950s.
Oh yeah, no.
So I guess it's kind of arbitrary, but
yeah, 1950s weren't that bad.
It's more of just my lack of knowledge.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying. Actually, we did a lot of as far as leaps and bounds of knowledge. The 1950s, there was a lot of leaps and bounds in there. As far as that, a lot of inventions, a lot of progression.
That was the atomic age, wasn't it too? Like
Yeah,
that
it was the
beginning
beginning
of
of it.
It was the start of it. You had Goddard, and all the scientists there with the rockets, and
Yep. It was big time for boosting technology.
I mean, to be honest, like the closest I get to understanding, that time frame is the Fallout series, which is wildly inaccurate. So, and I've only played 3 and 4 and New Vegas. So,
watch biography on Walt Disney, and that will bring a lot of insight onto the 1950s. With animatronics, all his vision. Because when he first started, some of the stuff wasn't possible. With him, his brother, and a bunch of the other animation artists, and things like that, fueled the culture to go further and look into it. And you had the scientists of the time were stretching things and putting the goals there. The society wasn't so crippling on free thought during that period of time. It got to that point when you had the Red Scare.
Yeah.
But prior to that,
and it was okay if you were a paler skin color, but
it
kind of sucked
somewhat. Well, it depends on where you were in the world. But talking primarily in the U.S. states and Canada and like that.
Not a great time to be.
But as far as educational free thought, it was and really it's the 50s drove us into a lot of the aspects that were in the 60s when I was actually growing up.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that, I was born in 1960, so I kind of got a little washover from the late 50s. But watch the 60s and everything, and a lot of the 50s stuff. From our economics to our war machines, to the whole nine yards, all kind of spun off through that 50s. Prior to that, the 40s, the 30s, and the 20s were more economic impact and prohibition, outlaws, cops and robbers, and like that.
This is kind of what I like about this too, is because I ran a one shot of this before I used the Fate the Fate system.
Yeah.
But I decided I was going to do something that involved the beginning of World War One. And so it's like I learned more about the start of World War One than I ever wanted to know, but amazingly enough, it's like, wow, what a shitstorm that was. It's like, it was a confusing thing.
It was brutal.
Well, it wasn't even just brutal. It was just why it began was just so convoluted and insane. It was like
Archduke Ferdinand.
Yeah,
the Balkans powder keg, but that's that was the trigger. But it started way before that. The real reason was not that was just a trip. Linchpin.
But the point is that it was so complicated. It was just like, wow.
The funny thing is, so if Archduke Ferdinand had not been assassinated, I doubt we would know his name.
Oh, of course not.
If he hadn't been assassinated and basically triggered a world war because of the powder keg that was Europe.
Yeah.
he would have gone down in history as a nobody. Nobody would know.
Oh yeah.
He could have been recruited.
Well, we have to go to war with them because we're allies with them, but then they have to go to war with them because they're allies with them, and then these people have to. It's like, oh my god!
And it was probably his own cousin that had him assassinated. One of the other nobles.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I thought it was like one of those. I thought it was like a radical political group.
The political group was there again. That's the bullet in the gun.
Oh, okay. So the
they were basically a hired entity to get rid of this noble, so it wouldn't splash onto the other noble. And all the nobles in Europe are related.
So in all seriousness, World War I could have been started because of a family squabble.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, that could be said about quite a few wars, especially during that time period earlier. I mean, you know.
But I'm saying
you killed my father, prepared to die. You know, that was pretty common.
Yeah, but they didn't start a war that involved, you know, almost every country in Europe.
Well, there hadn't been one to that point. There really hadn't been a World War I. That's
what I'm saying. Is like, of all the reasons for a war of that magnitude to start, it all came down to a family squabble.
Well, that was really the end of old Europe. I mean, that really brought an end to the, you know, I mean, so many empires died during that war.
It's like mid Japan, all during all the warlords and shoguns until it finally killed itself out to a point where it solidified to where you had the emperor, and then things kind of modernized in a way where there was more stability, and everything was done under the table, and still done under the table.
Yep. But
Tom Cruise came in and made things weird.
I like that movie because it gave a different perspective on modernization, progress, and over traditional values.
Yeah.
It
wasn't a bad movie.
My one complaint about the movie, but it was just the nature of the story that they were telling, is the whole white savior syndrome.
Yeah, I know.
That Hollywood likes to do.
Yep, I know. It's pretty annoying.
Whether or not that's it actually, I don't even know if it was based on an actual event or not.
Oh, here's a cool event, like with all these, these people of this area. We gotta get a white guy in there somehow. Let's shoehorn in this guy.
Getting a white guy into the storyline of Japan around that era. Not hard.
Oh no, I'm not saying it was, but
because the Spanish and the church, the Catholic Church, fighting real hard, getting roads in there.
Yeah.
In fact, the best movie for that is actually that little miniseries, Shogun.
Yeah.
But there was another movie Scorsese did. How was it?
Empire of the Sun? No. That was.
It was about the Catholic Church in Japan. Oh, what the hell is it called? It's a relatively newer one too.
Really? Who did
War Flowers?
No. Silence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was about I think it's about some actual events that happened about a Portuguese Catholic priest in Japan. And basically, because Japan was very xenophobic at that era, people were just there trying to like spread the good word, and they're like, nope.
I don't know. As far as missionaries go, I'm kind of with the people on that island that like to shoot them full of arrows. I'm in their field. It's like.
But you see that aspect, like you're talking about there with Silence, portrayed heavily in Shogun.
Yeah. Sugar was pretty good for that, especially for the time period it was made.
Yeah, and not just towards the porkages, but you saw multiple levels of confrontation. You saw the confrontation between the English and the Spanish. And the porkages were kind of the middleman in there, acceptable or tolerated between the Spanish and the English and the Japanese, and because the one ship captain was Portuguese in there in Shogun, and he played as many angles as he could.
Yeah,
and then you had the dynamic between the church and the traditional culture battling with each other. And then you had progress and tradition battling with each other. And then you had on top of that what is faced and what is battling within itself. There's a lot of different levels in that miniseries. It's just outstanding in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. But this game gives me a great opportunity to do some history stuff, so it'll be kind of fun.
Oh yeah.
You'll not likely be interacting with any major historical events, at least not directly. You may witness some, perhaps, but your purpose being there won't be to interfere with that event, but rather to, like maybe let's say saving. This won't be one of them, but you're not going to be able to stop Pearl Harbor. But maybe you could save one of the sailors,
mm-hmm.
One of the less significant sailors who happened to die at Pearl Harbor, something like that.
At most, we're going to be saving Private Ryan. Got it.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really good example. That could easily be a Timeworks scenario, like, except that rather than soldiers being sent in, your agents who have to go in as soldiers. Probably taking the identities of soldiers that they determined were killed, but their bodies weren't found for months. So, okay, You're taking their identities. There you go.
Yeah.
A lot harder to trace things then. That's the beautiful thing about the kind of time research they do is that, like, they already know what in most cases what's going to happen, mm-hmm. right? So they can they can warn you. It's like you're going to have, these soldiers are going to show up at this bridge at exactly 8:38 p.m. on this day, and you have to be out of that area before that happens. So you can be given some very specific information. Did you take the eidetic memory thing?
I did.
Oh, good.
It was kind of a toss up between the boost in intelligence, which would have been cool, but I felt like the total recall would have been,
and that'll be great for situations like that too. Like when you're given a memory dump of information saying all these things, you'd be like, yep.
And that'll kind of also tie in with like my temporal breaking of precog.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you'll be yelling to Jack, it's like 30 seconds before they show up, we gotta go.
Yeah. They're gonna shoot from that location, and that. And if you move in this direction, you'll be able to avoid those bullets.
Great, but if I go up on here, I can take them out.
No.
Run left, run right.
Die.
Just received a message that according to history you got killed there, so I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Yeah. Use an RPG at that location. Don't stand there.
Well, that's something that can happen too. Is like you can actually, save fellow agents under the right circumstances too. Like if you know that someone gets killed, you can go back, and they can do a second displacement to get someone there to save them. It's not always the case. But occasionally.
I'm kind of curious. You said if we mess up a mission, the organization as a whole has a chance to go back and redo it.
Yep.
Would that mean you'd go back and encounter yourselves, or would they send a different group, or is there something weird with the time where you'd go back and it's like you don't actually you haven't gone yet, effectively.
Basically, yeah, basically means you haven't gone yet.
Okay. And that's what that like Faraday cage thing is like technically as long as that's still closed, you quote unquote haven't gone yet until that's open.
Yeah. So once you come back, they're able to sort of they're able to sort of check records that they have access to outside the cage to see what's changed, to see if what like you mean like this wouldn't happen, but like so let's you make a change, and you turn on an outside television and you see there's a Nazi flag flying over the White House. It's
what's
like
the name? What's the name of
that's not
that?
gonna work.
Name of that movie? Time Cop.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it this way: there is a movie by that name.
Well, yeah, where they kind of it was all similar to what you were describing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other one was another one with Bruce Willis. Other than 12 Monkeys, it was
Bruce Willis.
Yeah. He plays a this guy who travels through time, but he's sent back to or his younger self is sent to kill him or something like that. He's basically a runaway agent. Like he was going to be killed and then he escaped.
Oh, Looper,
that's what it is. Yeah,
that
is some interesting temporal mechanics in it.
Yeah, that's Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays the younger version of himself.
Yeah. Yep.
I was very confused for a moment there. I'm like, I've seen a lot of Bruce Willis movies, and I
couldn't remember the name. Looper, that's what it is. Yeah.
That had so many paradoxes.
I know. I mean, like I said, there were some interesting things in it, but not my favorite kind of time travel.
It was fun, but just don't think too hard about it. Otherwise, it starts falling apart real fast.
Yeah,
faster than normal.
Right. Like the part that bugged me the most was when they were like amputating parts of that guy as he was trying to get to them. Like, remember the guy they kept chopping up?
Yeah.
Now, okay, I could see like taking a finger off, okay, and it could still work. But by the time he's there with like no arms and legs and he's just basically like flopping on the ground like a fish, it's like, how could he have gotten there in the first place?
Right. Yeah.
He could not have even gotten there. So it's like this weird. It's like an inherent paradox. You couldn't do that. Like if you could do stuff that would affect him, then he couldn't have gotten there.
Right. Or the ending there, which would have undone the entirety of the movie.
Yep.
It's like if you done that, then the rest of the movie doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah. So that bugged me because I mean I don't care if it's it's causality or if you create a new timeline, whatever. I don't care. But this was two things that didn't work together. You can't have both. So that kind of bugged me.
I mean, they even like pseudo addressed it by saying, Jeff Bridges' character is like, time travel, blah blah blah. Just don't think about it. Kind of hurts your head. And I'm like, okay, cool. You guys kind of
but that's a lazy way of addressing it. That's not really addressing it. It's just that's a lazy man's way of addressing it.
Yeah.
That I liked a lot of what they had in this. I've made some tweaks to it myself based on what I understand of things, but I'm gonna read through the whole document again just to familiarize myself, make some notes regarding details. But so you get a chance, like I said, read through the PDF, which has all the handout documents in it, and then there's some other stuff that's on the new Timeworks page. And at the top you'll see a beautiful picture of the time displacement equipment. But all right, I think I'm gonna get going. It's 11:30 already.
Alrighty.
All right. If you guys have any questions or whatever, or changes you want to make or additions or whatever, just let me know. You're welcome to post whatever you like on the in the Timeworks group if you want to post your description, details of your character, photos if you find one. Obviously, you already found one, Charles, so you can, if you want to post that. I like group pages like this because it's a place where we can put stuff and we don't have to like scroll up through chat to find it. It makes it a lot easier for some things. Especially something like this that requires more. Each mission is going to require, a certain amount of lore, involved in pictures and things. So, of wonderful historical events that you'll get to see. But anyway, all right, guys, I'm gonna get going.
Alrighty.
And I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Later.
Bye.
Bye.